right, we're live. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name's Jessica Davis. I'm with PT on Ice. Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. Today is Clinical Tuesday, so I thought it would be nice this morning to go over a live case of a patient, a real patient in time. And since we have limited time, we only have about 15 minutes, what I'm going to do is fast forward my differential diagnosis, discuss what was going on in my mind with this patient, who happens to be my husband, so it's easy for me to throw him on camera. And what we're going to do is, I figured as I problem solve and show you the tests that did indeed differentiate what was going on, we could go back and forth afterwards. If you have questions or additional tests you want me to run, I could do it, and we can make it kind of a neat interactive kind of exercise for the future. So, okay, so here's our patient. So this is Justin, this is my husband. And he has about 1 week, right? 1 week onset of progressively worsening left lateral wrist pain going into the thumb. And I wanted to give you a background with a little bit of the medical history because I think this is why it's a neat case to present. So he's had a long-standing history of right-sided neck pain involving with right C6 dermatomal distribution radiculopathy. It is a sleeping bear right now. It has not been active. When it's active, it's angry. So when I'm evaluating this patient, when you got a patient that's got an old sleeping radic, you don't want to poke that bear. So when I think about special testing and clearing the neck, I have to be cautious to not awaken that angry bear. Now, it's his right side, but in my differential diagnosis, I've got to think that that could potentially be significant. What's also significant about his case is about 6 months ago, he was installing tiles overhead repeatedly for about 8 hours, right? About 8 hours. Following that, he had, guess what? Shoulder pain, and he's had it for about 6 months. However, interestingly enough, over the past several weeks, his shoulder has miraculously started to feel better, but what has manifested is this lateral wrist pain. So, do you want to show, I'm going to have him show you the asterisk sign that I used because it's very provocative, so go ahead, and why don't you demonstrate, Justin, the exact motion where you feel the symptoms come on.
When I'm reaching for something and sort of twisting, I get a sharp pain, sort of.
Wait, I gotta get the camera so you can see that. Raise that up so that everybody can see.
From here up through here, most of the pain is in this area, and I have numbness from here to here on this portion of my thumb.
Okay, so if you looked at, so when we're doing the body diagram, this is pretty important, right? Because this is, if you think peripheral nerves, this could be radial nerve based on its location. It could be also median because it's awfully close to median nerve. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He does prolonged computer work in terrible, terrible posturing. So that's something that as a patient we would figure out and want to observe. So think long-standing, very bad posture. The other thing that he reported in this history is he's been favoring his shoulder, okay? So because he's been favoring his shoulder's feeling better. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, what do I got to clear? What could be my potential, let's talk about differential diagnosis list. Number one, neck, right? We've got to clear the neck. We've got to consider it strongly because he has a pretty strong history involving the right side, okay? So I've got to think that. So I've got to think the neck could potentially be referring in what dermatome? C6, right? So C6 dermatomal distribution. This could easily be a C6 dermatomal referred issue. Also, if we move peripherally, we've got to consider that the shoulder could be pretty significant here. Something along the shoulder could be, in essence, referring into the hand. Do we see that often? No, but if we think about the peripheral nerves and brachial plexus, if he's got a shoulder dysfunction, could that be potentially influencing the peripheral nerves from the shoulder? Absolutely. Moving distally, we've got to consider the elbow as a potential cause, correct? So he could have some elbow referral into potentially the radial nerve. And then peripherally, even farther down, what we've got to think about, decurvains. It could be decurvains. So typically, you may not see that numbness and tingling, but you may. So decurvains, we got to think about what special tests will we do for that. And then radial nerve and median. So he could have carpal tunnel going on from the prolonged typing that he does and the nature of his work. So there's a lot going on in the differential diagnosis list. So I'm going to fill you in with what I did. I cleared his neck. When I cleared his neck, However, I was careful about what I did on the right side, specifically with Sperlings. I don't want to awaken that angry bear. Now, if this patient doesn't improve over time with me doing other things, or if I cannot recreate, because what we're on a hunt for always when we do our examination is recreating the exact primary patient complaint, right? With a special test, whatever we're doing, we want to recreate that. We know his asterisk, so we also know that when I do treatment here, I'm going to retest that asterisk to know if I'm on the right path. Now, long term, if I were to recreate it but not generate a significant change, maybe later on when I've established trust with my patient, I may have to poke that bear to see if it's coming somewhere from the neck that I didn't stir up. I don't want to do that day one because, again, we talk about patient rapport. I don't want to kill that therapeutic alliance. I want to know that my patient trusts me. He wants to feel better. He's not happy. It's getting worse. So when I examined him, I did work on his neck. Again, I avoided the Sperlings and kind of provoking the right side. However, Sperlings on the left recreated a little bit of neck pain. Nothing recreated in the arm. Now, shoulder, when I put him into shoulder flexion with overpressure, he did report a little bit of irritation in an increased numbness in this aspect of his hand. So in my mind, I'm thinking, shoulder could be potentially involved. When I looked further at the shoulder, he has significant weakness into external rotation. He also has, I told him I wouldn't make him take his shirt off, but he's got, you probably can't see, but he has some atrophy in the supraspinatus. It's morning, forgive me there. Okay, so he's got some atrophy going on in the supraspinatus compared to the other side. That's significant. So when I did test with empty can and open can, full can, empty can, he has some recreation of pain with that testing. So in my mind, I'm thinking, could this be, it's not a full thickness rotator cuff tear, but could there be an underlying, maybe insidious, partial rotator cuff tear that's disturbed the dysfunction of his shoulder that's influencing potentially how he's using his hand? I'm thinking potentially. However, I have not at any point with any special testing recreated this symptom. When I further tested him, I had him do the Finkelstein's test because that's a quick test to kind of rule in, rule out potential decore veins. So can you do what I want you to do, Justin, for everybody? Can you put your thumb in, wrap your hand around, and I want you to move your hand this way. And I want you to show everybody, go ahead. Any recreation, go all the way. Any symptoms with that?
Not really.
Not really or no?
No.
Okay, so I do that in session. So that not really statement of a patient, I always want to clarify and say not really or no, because a little bit is significant. So I would consider that negative. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe not decore veins, but I'm still suspicious. Is this median nerve? Is this radial nerve? And we know our upper limb tension test that we can do. We also know Tinel's test, right? So if I do Tinel's over the carpal tunnel, okay, any symptoms at all?
No.
Any recreation?
No.
Okay. Another test we could do, right? This one. Can you hold here for me? Any recreation at all? Okay. So I'm not thinking it's carpal tunnel, but again, I haven't done any additional testing, right? I'm still thinking radial nerve based on its location, but I don't want to have so much type 1 thinking over biased. And so, but I'm going to use that as well. So the other thing to think about, when we think about what innervates peripherally in the hand, specifically with the thumb, we can play around with where we have some local weakness, right? So in the palm, that's pretty median nerve dominant. So I could test the flexor pollicis, brevis, and longus and see if he has any weakness to help me further differentiate. Do we have also looking at his thenar eminence? Does he have any wasting? Is there anything observable in his hand that would look different than the other side? I didn't observe in his hand any wasting at all. So, but again, what I can do to test this is go ahead and palm up. You have the patient's palm up, and I'm going to have you bring your thumb up here for me and hold. So that's brevis, and then I can move distally for longus. Absolutely no weakness. I cannot break him. Now, I want to test extensor pollicis longus, because that's the posterior interosseous nerve, which is a distal branch of the radial nerve. So I want to see, does he have any weakness in that? So to test that, that's palm down. Okay, so if you guys can see palm down. Normally I would have the patient laying down, but for camera, I would stabilize at the MCPs. And then what I want you to do, Justin, can you just lift your wrist up towards the ceiling for me? No. I'm sorry, not your wrist, my bad. Can you lift your thumb up? Yeah, hold it right there. Hold. Any pain or discomfort?
No.
Okay, so no weakness. So I'm happy about that. So I'm not seeing any weakness. I am a little concerned about the shoulder, so I'm thinking I've got to work with that. The other thing I forgot to mention, he had some posterior capsule tightness when I tested him. So that's on my, but again, none of those things recreated his primary complaint. Now, if you look, what does this look like to you guys when he recreates? So go ahead and do that symptom. So to me, relax, that kind of looks like that radial nerve tension test. So I'm gonna be mean now and recreate it for you guys on camera so that you can see, because I need to recreate his symptoms to know that he belongs in PT and that I'm his therapist and I can get him better. Okay, so hopefully you guys can all see this. I thought it would be nice just to review the radial nerve for everybody. Okay, all right, everybody. Okay, so can you lay down, head down here? All right. So when we do the radial nerve, what we need to do is be, of course, specific, right, with every patient. So make sure you are always succinct with where you put your patients on the table because it matters. So can you scooch over for me? So with this test, I want his shoulder slightly off the table because I'm going to use my hip to stabilize that and put him into a little bit of scapular depression. Am I overpressing it extensively? No, but I want to stabilize it. So I'm going to use, oh, sorry, I just hit him. Anyway, he's my husband, so I can do that. Okay, so I'm going to use my hip here. Okay, so scooch over a tiny bit more. All right, now he is very, very tall. So you guys are going to see me struggle a little bit because his arms are so long, but I think it'll be good for you guys to see how I do this. So I'm stabilizing with my hip. Then what I have to do, I have to stabilize the elbow. So I'm going to use my closer hand to my patient to stabilize the elbow in a level of extension. So if you guys can see that, I don't want to lose. So if I have a little bit of elbow flexion, it's going to be a false negative. So I've got to get him into some scapular depression. I've got to get him into some elbow extension. Next, what I'm going to have him do is he's going to put his palm, his thumb in his palm. He's going to wrap his hand around like this. Can you do that? Can you put your thumb in your hand and just squeeze your fingers like that for me? Relax, I'm going to move. So now what I'm going to do so you guys can see, I'm going to, in this position, bring him into wrist flexion and a little bit of radial deviation, maintaining that elbow extension as well as maintaining that scapular depression. Any symptoms here at all?
No.
Okay, so now I'm going to move him out laterally. Anything?
No. Yeah, a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit there. Okay, so now I want to sensitize this, right? So I have to move his head. Now, I did teach him earlier what to do with his head. You guys can't see, but can you move your ear towards, yes, good job. Any change there at all?
No.
Okay, can you move your ear away?
No.
No change.
No change.
You were a bad patient. Last night when I tested him, of course, for this podcast, I will tell you that that was positive. But perhaps I didn't sensitize it enough, but way to go, babe. Anyway, last night that was positive, so I would probably retest it out again. So I'm sorry that that didn't work out. It's kind of embarrassing. But anyway, it didn't change with his head position. However, what I like is, and maybe it's changed today because maybe me testing and playing with it last night changed a little bit, but what I would do is I still finally in the exam provoked his primary complaint, remember? So it may be more peripheral that he's getting that peripheral type of impingement to the radial nerve. So I still want and would do some treatment with some radial nerve sliders, and maybe I don't need to play proximally, but maybe I need to play distally and see if it generated a change. And then what am I going to retest? I'm going to retest his asterisk sign, see if I got somewhere. So I'll have to let you guys know if I get anywhere with him. He's a really difficult patient. But anyway, what I would like from all of you is if you have questions or you want to get back to me and think about additional tests that I could do, let's do it, because I think it would be kind of a fun interactive exercise. But I thought it would be a nice review this morning of what the radial nerve could do to differentiate. Thank you everyone for watching, and as always, follow Hump Day Hustling. I'm telling you, the emails that you guys get, if you haven't done it, go to ptonice.com, scroll to the bottom, sign up, because we send out great current research and things that'll just kind of be a nice little email for you to get. And thank you for watching, and it's as always a pleasure. Happy Tuesday. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.